Good Thanksgiving Monday, and welcome to Degen Wrestling. This is the podcast. I'm Nathan. He's Ben. Let's get into it. First things first, Ben. Because it's Thanksgiving, I just wanted to ask, what are we thankful for in wrestling? Just off the cuff.
Most of it's entertaining.
um, you know what? I'm thankful for the fact that wrestling, even at its worst times, still offers an escape from reality.
Yeah, that's very
Uh,
true.
and it doesn't really matter what you are, who you are. You can find something good in wrestling, regardless of if you watch, your WWEs or AEWs, or if you're out at a small backyard indie show. There's always going to be something out there in wrestling that can help you escape from reality. I can also tell you, despite some recent booking, I am thankful for the fact that I get free fried chicken because of wrestling.
Yeah, I'm sure
Um,
you are.
Especially with what happened last Saturday at Payback. Go watch our predictions video. I predicted everything bar a priest cash in
Fast
correctly.
lane.
Sorry, yes, fast lane. Jeez, sorry. Well, who cares? They obviously didn't care about it. There were 5 matches for it.
Well, I mean, if you won payback, then you already had your free fried chicken months ago.
Nah. Let's go fast lane. Alrighty. First thing we got going on here. Adam Copeland, aka Edge, for those who don't know, has an illustrious career. He
Is
just
there any
recently.
other names we might know him by, just in case?
Well, there is this one, but I'm not sure it's going to be too well known outside of a certain group of wrestling fans. But the name Sexton Hardcastle has come
Okay,
to
okay.
mind. Okay, so you know who Sexton Hardcastle is?
Yeah. The other two I was
Okay,
very confused about.
really? Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right. So when I'll put it to you like this. So when Edge cashed in on Cena, and I think it was New Year's Revolution '06, you heard Sexton Hardcastle.
Who's Edge?
Okay, perfect. So Sexton Hardcastle, rated R superstar Sexton Hardcastle. I don't know
Oh,
why.
okay.
Okay, all right, all right, right,
Uh-huh.
right, right. Anyway,
So you're telling me him and
um,
Edge are the same person?
surprisingly, yes, I was shocked too.
Okay.
All right. But I know you gave your thoughts on TikTok about Sexton Hardcastle's move to AEW. I'm going to
Yeah.
just give my thoughts on this now. I am sad and upset for the video game. WWE 2K24, at least for me, is going to suffer because Sexton Hardcastle isn't in it.
You're gonna
Um,
download one
if I can
or
find
two.
a good one, uh, see, I want to know what the Legends contracts are like for the WWE games because
Yeah.
there are certain people who are in AEW, i.e., Jake Roberts, who still managed to be in 2K23 despite having an AEW contract.
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's
worst
true.
case scenario, we've got Sexton Hardcastle and Rob Van Dam leaving the WWE 2K franchise. And
Yeah.
that kills me. That kills my roster. That kills my GM modes. Not completely, but I am known for signing those guys and building around them. There's a
I mean,
reason
you're
for
more
that.
known for signing MVP, but
Oh God, this again. All right, so for those of you who don't know because you've never seen, for whatever reason, MVP just has really great typing and mic skill for any roster I decide to build. And I don't know why, but I always end up getting him for whatever
because you
reason.
always build the roster the same.
And he's cheap. He's super cheap. I like cheap things with really, really good mic skill. Anyway, aside from that, Dude, I honestly think that Sexton Hardcastle is something that the locker room has needed for a very, very long time in AEW. A veteran who understands that his shit might not be like Undertaker's level of respect.
Yeah.
Aside from that, he's there with Christian Cage. You could have a lot of fun rehashing Edge and Christian and the Hardys. You can have a lot of fun with Edge versus Christian or Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage.
Yeah.
You could have a lot of fun. Like I'm thinking right now, Edge and MJF. That would be a hell of a match. Edge and Darby, hell of a match. Edge and Jack
And
Perry, hell of a
he's
match.
mentioned wanting to face Kazuchika Okada.
Yes, he has. And I'm super excited for that. I've also heard that it was a really respectful split. Triple H
Yeah.
even acknowledged that most of what Edge said was 100% true from both sides. So
Yeah.
I'm happy that if this is something Adam Copeland wants to do, this is something that Adam Copeland can do, and the business can benefit from it. One of
Yeah,
his
and maybe if it's like an amicable split like that, maybe you will get your Edge
like
in
I'm hoping
2K24.
I'm really hoping. Um, so one of his main goals, speaking to Chris Mueller of the Bleacher Report, is to leave the industry in a better place when he found it. Copeland said, quote, so yeah, there's still goals, and that's cool, that's fun. That's the challenge of it. And there's the aspect of trying to leave the industry in a better place, or at least adding something to further it along. And whether that's just passing on knowledge or helping a character or a young talent find their voice, that's really fun. I felt like with AEW, there was a huge opportunity for that. And this isn't a comparison to anything. It just feels like I can help more with AEW, and that's exciting to me. I've told
Yeah.
everybody, and everybody knows this, and this is still open to WWE talent. Everyone knows if you want to pick my brain, I'm always here. Ben, AEW has had locker room problems. Is Adam Copeland the glue it was missing? Will he accomplish his goal? Why or why not?
No, so I think that the locker room problems were largely separated when that wedge was taken away from it. So I think Edge will just basically slide in there nicely, or Adam Copeland,
Yeah.
Sexton, Hardcastle, whatever we may want to call him, whatever he may want to be called. I think he'll just slide in nicely with people like Brian Danielson or
I can
John
see I can see
Moxley.
Danielson, Moxley, Jericho just
Yeah.
salivating at the mouth because you've got somebody who has not been known to cause locker room issues since like 2004
Yeah.
on the roster. The other thing I think too, and feel free to disagree with me on this, I think Tony Khan signing Adam Copeland says something.
Yeah.
Because Adam Copeland is very much, I think, what CM Punk was supposed to be. In that there is a voice there that can, will, and has a reputation for coaching younger talent if
Yeah.
they want it. The keywords being if they want it. If you go around, just so long as you don't disrespect Adam Copeland, you're going
Yeah.
to be a-okay fine. And it's not something that Adam Copeland perceives as disrespect. It is legitimately discrediting his entire opinion, given the fact that his career has lasted over 25 years.
Yeah.
That would set Adam Copeland off. Adam Copeland actually has a spine and skin that is not treated with aloe vera every minute. So,
I mean, if you think about it, AEW now has three people that WWE were told people that would never wrestle again.
yeah, 1,000%. So, I mean, does that shine a light on the business as a whole or just WWE's perception of it? I don't know.
So I think the thing is that WWE is very protective of its talents because of things that have happened in the past.
Yeah.
But AEW is more open to listening to doctors outside of their own and, not labeling somebody as injury prone, so stopping a push.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sure, they got injured, but it was a freak accident.
Yeah.
We can still try to push them when they get back.
And to your point, look at all the stuff Danielson's been able to do in AEW.
Yeah.
Danielson in particular has revitalized his career. Saraya has done a complete 180. Yeah. And now you've got Adam Copeland and, well, first of all, WWE even cleared Adam Copeland, but Adam Copeland is poised to...
Well, I mean, they cleared Bryan Danielson as well, but there was a lot of push for
there was the only reason they... I will say this to this day, the only reason they cleared Bryan Danielson is because they knew that Bryan Danielson was too damn good if he decided to leave. That,
and I think the only reason they cleared Adam Copeland was because they cleared Bryan Danielson.
It's true. If you look at the timeline, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That being said, I do know that some doctors for Adam Copeland in particular sided with the WWE doctors. Nobody sided with the WWE doctors when it came to Danielson.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a difference there, but either way, it is awesome that Adam Copeland and, for the same record, Bryan Danielson and Saraya are still able to do what they love and do it at a very high level. Yeah. But back on topic, will he accomplish his goal? I damn sure hope so.
Yeah.
Damn sure hope so. That being said, it's time for either or. It is time for you to take a stance and time for me to take a stance, because there were a lot of times on another podcast we were on where someone, and I'm not saying you and I'm not saying me, would fail to actually pick a side and stick by it. This is going to be basically pick a side or pick a scenario and explain why you're on that side. So the first thing I've got is Big Bill and Ricky Starks or Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Who is the bigger surprise tag team champion and why?
Okay. So, if this had been bigger surprise tag team, I would go with Big Bill and Ricky Starks. But bigger surprise tag team champion, this is very difficult to actually choose between.
Yeah. Which is why
again, I think I'm going to go with Big Bill and Ricky Starks.
Really?
I do.
Okay, why?
After reflecting on Fastlane, at least.
Yep.
And realizing Vince McMahon is back.
Yep.
It makes sense, unfortunately.
Okay. So I'm going to take this and look at it from another way. Big Bill and Ricky Starks were a huge surprise. I'm not going to take anything away from that.
Oh yeah, no, huge surprise.
My bigger surprise is Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, because that tag team match had no build, like zero build. It was.
Hey, what are you talking about? It was alluded to at the beginning of Raw.
It was alluded to
at the end of Raw.
It was alluded to at the beginning of Raw, like with. I think it was, what was it, 13 days out? You got Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus the Judgment Day. And at the end of Raw, like, you've got the faces standing tall, like 5 days before the pay-per-view. It was crazy. But the reason that, because, again, I did a lot of reflection on this too, because this one was one that I legitimately didn't know. There were a lot of reports coming out, and if you watch Collision back, you can see it. Cash Wheeler took no offense.
Cash Wheeler has an injury, yeah.
Yeah. And if that injury is serious, coupled with Cash Wheeler's legal issues, it might be a great idea to take the belt off of them. I'm
So it was
surprised that
a very quick squash match, actually.
yeah, I'm surprised that Big Bill and Ricky Starks got the tag team championships. I'm surprised. I thought for sure they'd put it on somebody else. But if you take a look at it, FTR getting the belts off by any means necessary to two people who could use the belts, that makes total sense. It's not surprising.
Yeah, but so yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
but I see Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso as being like a tag team, not as surprising. If you look back over the weeks with what Cody's been saying, Cody was the one that brought Jey to Raw. Cody's been talking about Jey. Cody's been trying to get Jey help in the back. It makes sense that they be a tag team for a short while.
To me, if you take a look at the SmackDown landscape, though, I can agree. It makes total sense. But to have them win, it's like you say, as a as a surprise tag team, Big Bill and Ricky Starks would totally win. But as a tag team champion, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso makes no sense from the build. It made no sense because your Judgment Day has been booked insanely strong. To have Finn Balor and Damian Priest screw it up, thanks to JD McDonough, who's been a net positive for the Judgment Day for the better part of the last couple of months. It made absolutely no sense. It was bonkers as hell. I celebrated to high hell when Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso won. They're a much bigger surprise tag team champion to me than Big Bill and Ricky Starks, who were the benefactors of a Cash Wheeler injury and legal issues, at least to me.
Yeah, so then there's the other issue I'm having where I'm seeing Big Bill and Ricky Starks being the more surprise tag team champions because of who won the tag team fatal four-way, who was going to compete for the tag team championships next.
Who is the
Young Bucks?
Just so you know. Okay,
so Big Bill and Ricky Starks are slated in essentially right now as placeholders because of Cash's injury.
Yeah. Again,
so I'm surprised they gave it to somebody like Big Bill and Ricky Starks, who I don't consider a proper tag team.
And that's fair enough.
Rather than
I don't consider Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso a proper tag team either, if you want to get technical.
Oh, I don't either. But their tag team makes more sense. Cody being the one that brought Jey to Raw.
Cody being the one that brought Jey to... I understand why they'd be allies, but a tag team? Cool. And also, all
it takes to be a tag team is to be allies.
Your booking is the thing. Your booking of Jey Uso, this seems like the exact opposite of what you should be doing with Jey Uso. And I am sorry. I can't change my mind on this one. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, at least for me, are a bigger surprise. I totally get why Big Bill and Ricky Starks would be for you. Next one up, Kevin Nash believed his role as Super Shredder meant he would never have to wrestle again. Or my friend Johnny, who believed that Will Ospreay was WWE bound. Who had the bigger delusional moment this week?
Your friend Johnny, who believed Will Ospreay was Wait, what?
Yeah, so shout out to my buddy Johnny. He's somebody who keeps an eye on wrestling dirt sheets.
Yeah.
He was fooled by there was a Photoshop thing saying sources close to Will Ospreay believed he was WWE bound.
No.
He said
that is it. That is the biggest delusion right there. No questions about it.
So see, to me, I can understand why somebody would be fooled by it was a well done Photoshop too. It was a really well done Photoshop.
That is it. If you know anything about Will Ospreay, anything he has said in the past,
he's
the biggest delusion right there.
Very bad. See, I disagree with that. I think it's Kevin Nash's Super Shredder, because if you watch Kevin Nash's performance in that, there's a big difference. I'm sorry, coming from the acting world, there's a big difference between Laurence Olivier, which is what Kevin Nash thought he was being when he stuck up his hand, and Kevin Nash's actual performance as Super Shredder. I will vote. I will vote for Kevin Nash.
A lot of people make careers off of being bad actors.
Okay, but see, he was bad in the
that
sense
is more
that
likely to happen than Will Ospreay going to WWE.
I'm sorry.
For
I just don't buy it.
Extended period of time.
If you take a look, I'm sorry. I don't agree with you. That being said, though, so your winner of that versus Hulk Hogan's delusions that Shane McMahon wanted to face him or his son Nick at WrestleMania 39. Who had the biggest delusional moment?
Hulk Hogan.
There we go. To the point where WWE
Hulk Hogan's whole life is a delusional. Delusional. Yeah.
To the point where a WWE official who is normally like they stay the hell away.
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you go. IRL, they stay the hell away. Comes out and says, "No, Hulk Hogan is full of shit." We know Shane McMahon comes up with some loony ideas, but that was never, ever, ever on the table. Like, geez, I'm sorry. I can believe my friend Johnny thinking Will Ospreay to WWE. I can believe that. I can believe Kevin Nash thinking he was the next Olivier. I can believe that. But you want to tell me that Hulk Hogan believed that Shane McMahon wanted to fight either him or his son Nick, depending on which part of the interview you choose to subscribe to?
Well, I mean, if you
Hulk Hogan, I thought that was WWE.
And you are big on knowing everything about Hulk Hogan, wrestling 400 days a year.
Oh my God, yeah.
That seems very reasonable.
See, to me, Hulk Hogan lives in a world of delusion. Yeah. 400 is not 365.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, no, congratulations to Hulk Hogan. Okay. Carlito, Danhausen, or Roman Reigns, who is the biggest return or upcoming return, and why?
Danhausen.
Absolutely.
And you want to know why?
Go ahead.
Love that Danhausen.
So I'm going to say Danhausen for one simple reason, okay?
Is it the jingle?
Roman Reigns never truly left. With the amount WWE plugs Roman Reigns in the bloodline, Roman Reigns never left.
Roman Reigns has never really clicked with me, so I would never say Roman Reigns anyways.
Carlito was a surprise from 20 miles away that everyone could see coming. Danhausen comes back with that jingle. Very, very, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Very evil.
Yeah.
And it's just like, see, here's the thing. You have Danhausen, who is so good that even CM Punk did not have a bad thing to say about him.
Yeah, Danhausen is great.
Danhausen, like, he is locker room glue, okay? Whenever Danhausen isn't around, the whole place goes to crap. And he comes back, definitely biggest return. Like his 350-pound frame is sorely missed in the AEW locker room and sorely missed on TV. Without a doubt, Danhausen's biggest surprise. That being said, it's time for the speed round. Josh Alexander versus Will Ospreay, Bound for Glory, Fallout, 2 weeks from yesterday. Ben, are you as excited as I am?
No.
I
I
didn't think it would be.
I don't think I could get as excited as you are.
No, it's Josh Alexander, who I've
Like,
interviewed,
I'm
versus
like,
Will Ospreay.
this is going to be a great match.
I'm, I'm like,
I want to see it, but no, I'm not as excited as you are.
no, I take a look at that and I'm like, oh my god, I have to fucking see it. I don't know how, but I have to see it.
Like, on a scale of 1 to Shawn Michaels is being featured on TV, this is at about an 8
Yep, absolutely.
for you.
Yes, absolutely. So next up, according to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, WWE just released its top merch sellers for September 2023. Ben, biggest surprise out of the top 10. If you haven't read it, I'll read it to you now. LA Knight is number 1. Cena's number 2. Cody Rhodes number 3. Stone Cold Steve Austin number 4. Rhea Ripley number 5. Bray Wyatt number 6. Jey Uso number 7. NWO number 8. Roman Reigns number 9. Kevin Owens number 10. It is important to know we don't know if Rhea and Roman featured Judgment Day or Bloodline merch, respectively, in their numbers.
My biggest surprise is that I guess Rhea Ripley's so high on it.
That's the thing. I know Rhea Ripley is.
I know she's popular.
Yeah,
but like I would not put her in the top 5.
See, her and Roman Reigns, I find very iffy being on that list.
Yeah.
If it includes Judgment Day merch,
yeah,
and Dom merch and Bloodline merch, I totally understand it. But that's one of my big red flags too. Also, shout out to LA Knight for outselling John Cena on a month where John Cena was there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that.
I'm excited for it. I'm super excited for it. Also, Stone Cold Steve Austin being number 4 is probably the least surprising thing on that entire list.
I'm also not surprised that NWO is on the list.
That NWO ranked? Yeah, neither am I. Fantastic stuff. Aside from that, yeah, there's no real surprise.
And the top 4 do not surprise me at all.
No. Bray Wyatt doesn't either. That being said, if this comes out in a month, and Bray Wyatt is still there, that will surprise me. Alrighty, next up, we have got John Cena, to no one's surprise, will leave WWE once the SAG after the actor strike ends. Ben, how cautious would you be booking him in the future if you are WWE?
Not at all. Throw him in there. Let him do his thing.
I'm the exact opposite. Keep him for as long as you can, absolutely, but make sure he's not in any real programs or feuds. I think the first time they used him as the correspondent was 1,000% the right way to book Cena. It was so much fun. Special referee Cena, so much fun. But don't involve him in any sort of program because you don't know how long you're going to have him.
Put him in a program. I want to see an Extreme Rules match.
Oh, who would you like to see him go against then?
I don't know, the locker room?
Okay, sweet.
Actually, Dominic Mysterio.
Absolutely.
I want to see him go for the North American Championship.
Get him in there with ex-con Don.
In an Extreme Rules match.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Undertaker is rumored to return at NXT. This is just like any other show and not to one-up Dynamite Spectacular. Ben, will NXT outdraw Dynamite this week?
I don't know about their artistry skills, so I'm not 100% sure.
I meant, in terms of TV ratings. Yeah. Not in terms of artistic skill, because let's be honest, WWE's artists are second to none.
I can't see NXT not outtrying Dynamite.
So, okay. It's got Becky Lynch. It's got Cody Rhodes. It's
Judgment
got
Day.
John. It's got John Cena, Paul Heyman,
Judgment
the
Day.
Judgment Day.
Undertaker.
And now Undertaker is rumored to be there. If you're telling me the WWE isn't doing this as a knee-jerk reaction to AEW on Tuesday
Yeah, and
for
I mean, what's
Tony Khan's
AEW have?
birthday.
Beyonce?
Yeah, they got Beyonce.
Who the
They got
fuck cares about Beyonce?
a lot of people actually.
Well, they're wrong.
What's funny to me, aside from that, is I love this one-upsmanship. Tony Khan decides to have a birthday show for his birthday, stack it. WWE's like, oh yeah, you're coming onto our turf. Well, stack our card.
Well, I mean,
then,
AEW's moved because of some sports thing on Wednesday night.
Did it?
Yeah.
Did it move because of football?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why it's moved.
Good to know. But in any case, so AEW stacking its card. WWE one upset by stacking their card. AEW gets Beyonce to make sure people tune in right away quick. WWE, what are they going to do? Get Jillian Hall back to sing the national anthem? And actually, that'd be funny.
No.
I love this one-upsmanship between WWE and AEW.
Oh, yeah.
WWE stacking its card makes AEW feel like so much more legitimate competition.
Yeah.
Than if they had just left it alone.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because you are basically sending a message that you are afraid of AEW stacking your card this much.
I think the most interesting thing about it is that Paul Heyman is in Braun Breaker's corner.
Oh, yeah. No, for storyline purposes, yes.
Yeah.
Jake Paul is rumored to fight Matt Riddle. Ben, how excited are you for this potential fight?
On a scale of...
I don't know. Whatever scale you want.
So you know that sponge that's been used like 400 times, sits at the sink, and sometimes you forget to drain the water and it's just sitting in the dirty water.
Now, is it getting mold on it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I know the sponge you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. How about that?
Yeah. For me, I am so excited to do literally anything else. Including solve world hunger, clean my house, stand up, or run a marathon. I would rather run a marathon than watch Jake Paul versus Matt Riddle. And that is no disrespect to Jake Paul. Like if we're talking about who I'm rooting for, it's easy, Jake Paul. But this has zero hype. I don't know why this is a thing.
Now, before we get into the next segment, I have something that I see you don't have here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm wondering your thoughts on it.
Oh, yeah?
So, I believe Wrestle Talk reported that there are talks of bringing Bo Dallas back and still doing a Wyatt 6 storyline.
Oh, I've seen that rumor floating around. I
want to know your thoughts on it.
I am scared.
Because without the mind of Bray Wyatt,
it doesn't work. But here's the thing.
I'm all for paying homage to Bray Wyatt.
But
I am scared, but I am cautiously optimistic.
A lot of what Wyatt's stuff comes from Bray Wyatt. The reason why I never ever want to see Firefly Funhouse again, despite loving every time it showed up, was because Bray Wyatt was always the creative force behind it. Yeah. That's what made Bray Wyatt so great and so terrible.
Yeah.
His creative mind was second to none, and he was able to somehow, some way, get away with a lot of shit in WWE that would never be able to do it. If you have someone writing Wyatt 6 or doing something along those lines, be very, very careful, because it could ultimately tarnish Bray Wyatt's legacy. And that is something I would not want to see.
I'm hoping that if they end up doing it, they're going with the guy that Bray Wyatt basically picked. That was going to basically be the Bray Wyatt being in the movies, and that the guy that was going to write a horror movie type thing for Bray Wyatt, the guy that they brought in to WWE for long-term storytelling because of how well he worked with Wyatt. And that's the guy that I think would have to run it for it to be any good.
And run it without Vince McMahon's interference.
Yeah.
And run it without Triple H's interference. Like, you have to understand that if you're working with a Bray Wyatt type creative, you have to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, when to run. I am scared as hell about this. Scared as hell. Ricky Starks is tired of factions in AEW. Are you tired of factions in AEW?
No.
I can see where he's coming from.
Like, I can see where he's coming from too, but I'm not. I think factions can be interesting and lead to better stories overall. Yeah. And they don't always need to be tied. The person in a feud with somebody else doesn't always need to be tied into the faction's feud.
Yeah.
Like, you can have your group of friends and they can have theirs. It doesn't mean anything unless it's a full faction on faction thing.
So the biggest thing that I think I can say to support your point is look at Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah. They very do their own stuff, basically.
Yeah, very rarely are they together.
Yeah.
Very rarely. They're just a group of guys who respect the holy hell out of each other and will come at a moment's notice to beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
But they have to be given that notice. And you don't see them every week standing tall, standing proud. I think where you get issues with factions, just in general, not AEW, but in general, is if you're going on and on and on week after week after week after week with these like powerhouse factions. If they're not doing anything.
Yeah, my biggest faction issue, I believe, is like Mogul Embassy or whatever the hell it's called.
Don't know.
They just keep adding and dropping people, which is like really freaking odd, and it gets rather annoying. It's the factions that keep adding and dropping people. Like, hey, add this guy, drop this person, or Don Callis's family now. Add this guy, drop this person, turn your back on this person. Oh, that person's gone that we just had it brought in last week.
I think I can leave it at that because I agree with you wholeheartedly. Next up, it's time for Wrestling Weekly. That's the part of the show where Ben and I discuss our weakest segments and hear what you guys have to say and have to think about the weakest point in wrestling after we talk about it. So Ben, I don't know yours. You probably know mine.
I think so.
But that being said, so I think I can start. So I can defend this thing till the cows come home. It is Fastlane. The pay-per-view is like spectacular up to this point. It is the Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley Judgment Day promo just prior to Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke, where Rhea Ripley basically says to Priest, who is hurt, not tonight, give me the case.
Yeah.
Okay, I have issues with that because when you say not tonight before the night is ended, you make your faction look incredibly freaking stupid.
Yeah.
And it completely takes away intrigue from a match, which is what Money in the Bank is designed to do, put intrigue into any championship match, because at any point in time, including in the middle of a match, it can be cashed in. any point in time. So if you say not tonight, not tonight, it diminishes the Money in the Bank's intrigue and therefore power and therefore build of its superstar. On top of that, it makes you look incredibly stupid when that match is a last man standing match. We can see the brutality. We can see Seth Rollins is hurt. We can see Seth Rollins got poison mist sprayed in the face. Please tell me how it makes sense on any level, even if you did say not tonight, for your Money in the Bank briefcase to just not come into the equation at all. You could easily book around this. Just don't have that promo at all, and the whole thing can go off a hell of a lot better. You can have that promo if you need to, but have it after the Rollins Shinsuke Nakamura match. You can have Rhea Ripley and the Judgment Day come out, confront Rollins, and have Rhea make the judgment call then that Rollins is standing tall, standing proud. Except you're the Judgment Day. There's literally there's Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and Dom Mysterio, who have been known for interfering in each other's matches, who have been known for a team effort.
Yeah.
As well as Rhea Ripley. And you're telling me that those three guys do not feel that it's time, or do not feel that they could beat Seth Rollins, who is barely standing and can barely see.
Yeah.
It makes literally no sense, and it makes the Judgment Day feel stupid and therefore diminishes every action. Yeah. Easy weak segment for me.
My only issue with what you said was that it would make sense if they came out after and Rhea gave that promo. No, it wouldn't. The only way it makes sense for a Priest not to cash in there is if he was taken to the hospital in an ambulance.
I understand that.
But, so I completely agree with that being the weakest segment.
Okay.
But I do have to mention, this is not like the weakest segment. That is definitely the weakest segment. It is to mention the role that JD McDonough had in that.
Yep.
Of hitting Priest in the knee and losing that match.
Yeah.
That right there, that led to everything. I think it was stupid to have that happen and have JD McDonough do that.
What does he have to gain?
With everything he has been doing for the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
It seemed only one-sided that was the issue, was Priest, which also made no sense because of how often he had helped Priest.
Yep.
It's just done to drive a wedge between Priest and JD McDonough and the Judgment Day, basically. And I don't think the factions always need that wedge in between them.
No.
It's just ridiculous.
Well, what I think about that segment is it was done a hell of a lot better on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Where McDonough accidentally screwed the Judgment Day and therefore got beaten for it by the four faces in the ring. That could lead to something a hell of a lot better for JD McDonough.
Yeah.
While keeping the Judgment Day strong and intact. I understand
also,
where you're coming from.
4 baby faces stood over 6 heels?
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, I love it. Maybe because of LA Knight. But the hell?
Hey, look, all I'm saying is Super Cena.
All they had to do to make it be better is have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn there too.
Yep.
All they had to do.
Which was not the question.
No.
At all. Because you had the build with Jey Uso, Sami Zayn is already in support of literally every other guy inside of that ring on the face side who has issues with Judgment Day. And KO
and Kevin Owens
can coexist. Yes. Kevin Owens can coexist for Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
It's it makes no sense. That being said, do you agree that the Judgment Day segment at Fastlane was the weakest part of the week? Let us know either down below. You can also message us on TikTok, whatever the case may be, if you've got any other points that's any different. It's now time for something that I've been dreading. I know you've got more info on this than I do, but it's called DGen Wrestling Has No Choice But to Talk About Phil, and it makes me sick. Because I don't want to cover this guy. I don't, especially after what he did to the AEW locker room and to the wrestling business as a whole. I view him as stealing money. That being said, the biggest news by far this week has been the updates about Phil Brooks talking to WWE about a potential return. Hell hath frozen over. Ben, I know you know more about this than I do, so if you wouldn't mind shedding some light on the situation for me, because the only things I know are that Phil and WWE have been talking, and from all reports that I've read, the target is Survivor Series 2023 in Chicago as his return.
Literally, all I'm going to say is if it happens, have him on a short leash.
Yeah, you need to.
There's no other information to say besides really that unfortunately they are in talks. Talks seem to be going well, but
Yeah,
have him on a short leash. Have somebody that can reel him in and be that voice of reason, and if he acts up, can cut him loose and let him go.
I'm gonna be honest. I can think of one guy. I can think of one guy who would give him a short leash, but still long enough for Phil to be Phil. That person is Shawn Michaels. And give Shawn the power to hire and fire with cause. Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, I think
That's
even Triple H would be able to do that because of his past issues with Phil.
So well there's the cause right there, but I don't think Phil.
Yeah.
Do you think Phil could work with Triple H?
I think if he had no choice, yeah.
I still don't
If he
think
wants to do the thing he loves, he has to learn to do it properly.
the thing that I have a real issue with is I think the bad blood between Phil and Triple H. Because if you're like to play devil's advocate here, Triple H and Phil Brooks have had bad blood for ages upon ages.
Yeah.
Prior to the 2014 stuff, anything there.
Yeah.
Prior to it. All of it. I don't think that Triple H would be able to keep the personal things out of it in whatever the case may be. I think that could work to its benefit, but I don't think that either Phil or Triple H are mature enough in this case to allow it to work. Mostly on Phil's side. Which is why I push for Shawn to be the person with the power to hire and fire Phil.
All I'm saying is if it happens, keep him on a short leash.
Yep.
If he could be reeled in and be that 2009 to 2011 CM Punk that everyone loved,
I'd even
or
go
2013.
I'd even go to like 2012 Punk.
Yeah, that everyone loved.
Yeah.
Basically,
then that's fine.
I could see no, but he needs to be kept in check
at all times.
Yeah.
Like first thing that he should agree to do is a locker room code of conduct.
Yeah.
And also because WWE is incredibly petty, I want a group of 6 guys that will at random times after about a 2-month grace period, antagonize Phil. Sometimes quite small, like minor transgressions, sometimes on a bigger level, just to see how Phil could handle it.
Yeah, no, I don't want that because I don't think he'd be able to handle it.
Yeah.
And if none of that happens, if he's not antagonized at all, I think he'd be fine.
Yeah.
But
he also can't antagonize anyone.
No.
That's
the other thing. Yeah.
If he antagonizes people, I want him beaten down, both mentally and physically. Like, I want him scared to go to work.
Yeah.
So that if he says the wrong thing outside of that ring, that he could easily be let go. That would be my chief concern with Phil. I don't want to speak on Phil anymore. Can we please move on to the main topic, because I think there's a lot more meat there, and it's something that both you and I want to talk about without me feeling like I want to vomit.
Okay.
Does WWE have a long-term storytelling problem? And the reason I asked this is the main topic. Reason I asked this is simple. You and I have loved wrestling for years.
Yeah.
When we look at good long-term storytelling, it's few and far between, not just in WWE, but the wrestling business as a whole. WWE is trying to juggle two of them. And part of great long-term storytelling is knowing when to pull the plug.
Yeah.
I don't think, and hear me out, maybe you disagree with me on this, I don't think WWE knows how to pull that plug anymore when it comes to stuff like the Bloodline or Judgment Day in particular. And I want to know your thoughts, just flat out. Does WWE have a long-term storytelling problem?
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they try to weave one too many or two too many stories amongst the thing.
Yeah.
They have issues pulling the plug when they need to, like you said. So, or they have issues deviating from that plug to be pulled when it's absolutely necessary. Be like, hey, so this story is really over. We should pull an audible and have this person win.
Yeah.
Maybe a better long-term story could come out of that audible than being in the bottom of the third.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, because the Authority is a great example.
Yeah.
The Daniel Bryan versus the Authority angle that they were pulling. You know that Daniel Bryan wasn't their guy.
Nope.
You know that Daniel Bryan wasn't their plan. And it took like 3 months and one wrestler leaving in order for them to call that audible and make Daniel Bryan their guy. There is such a general apathy with audience and audience reaction in order to allow a long-term story to reach a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
In the Bloodline, there have been 3 spots, where you could have ended the storyline. And it would have made sense, and it would have resolved nicely, and you could have built things from it. Those are Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, Elimination Chamber. Could have easily ended it there. And that is a point I would argue, and still argue, you should have ended it. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that's
is like the most logical conclusion at WrestleMania 39, where you should have ended it.
Absolutely.
Or Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, SummerSlam.
Completely agree.
This year. You could have ended it at those 3 points. Anytime after that, anytime you're looking to end the Bloodline storyline now, if you ever intend to end the Bloodline storyline, which is another issue in of itself, you're going to have the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes beats Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 is going to have a much more muted reaction than it could have had at WrestleMania 39 or Sami
Absolutely.
Zayn at Elimination Chamber 2023.
Absolutely.
On top of that, with Cody Rhodes as champion, where do you go? And this is the best answer you can have in wrestling and the best answer you can have in storytelling whatsoever. I don't know.
Yeah.
If your audience reaction is, I don't know, your long-term story has officially done its job.
Yeah.
Or even Jey Uso beating Roman Reigns. Jey Uso as tribal chief. What does that do to the bloodline? What does that do to Roman Reigns? What does that do to Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and I guess it would just be Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa at that point because Jimmy Uso at that point was still loyal to Jey. But what does that do to them and their relationship to the bloodline? Do they splinter off and form a force to go against the bloodline? You don't know.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. The other thing I think is an issue with I'm gonna say the bloodline because it's less so than the Judgment Day, is the end of your story should also like it should never be Roman Reigns fights against blank and Roman wins law.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it's not Roman Reigns fights against blank and Roman wins law.
Sorry,
it's Roman Reigns fights against blank
bloodline
and interference makes Roman Reigns win law.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. Roman Reigns goes up against Sami Zayn, and here's why it's so good. Roman Reigns goes up against Sami Zayn. Bloodline interferes, but Sami Zayn has been in the bloodline long enough to know that they're going to interfere, stops the interference.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns panics. And then Roman Reigns wins law.
Yeah.
Great match, but you could have had a complete reversal of the storyline right there. Yeah. Roman Reigns goes up against Cody Rhodes and the bloodline interferes. Referee is actually on his game and ejects Solo Sikoa.
But where the fuck is security?
Yeah. But ejects Solo Sikoa. Cody Rhodes now has a chance. The people feel that Cody Rhodes now has a chance. Cody Rhodes has a chance because it's even. When it's even, Roman Reigns cannot win. Paul Heyman gets ejected after interfering. Oh my God, what the hell? Why is this referee so good? But there's no security. Solo Sikoa interferes. Roman Reigns wins law. And there is no backlash from WWE
on Solo or Roman
on Solo or Roman or Paul, and it's just like that's a huge hole. That's a huge hole.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things they teach you in improv, and improv I think is very important in sports and entertainment where anything could go wrong at any time, is you want to hear buts. You very rarely want to hear and.
Yeah.
So if you're coming up with a scenario, but is always good. The reaction to that, yes, but is always good.
Yeah.
And is almost never good.
No.
There are certain situations where and can work, but very rarely does it ever. Same as the Judgment Day. If you look at it now, the Judgment Day is crumbling. Rhea Ripley is attempting to keep together Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dom Mysterio.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley gives out 2 threats. Very good. Rhea gets Dom a rematch, but if he doesn't win, he does not bother going home. There's a risk to him leaving. And Finn and Damian Priest have Money in the Bank, the tag team championships. They're on top of the world. They're just missing the big gold, but they got something to get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Dom Dom goes up against Trick Williams, I think was the person who beat him.
Yep.
But the Judgment Day interferes. Dom Dom keeps his title. And the Judgment Day is kumbaya. That is all fine. All fine. All good because you had that swerve in there to keep them there. Where it is not okay is when you have an instance on SmackDown. The faces are outnumbered. The Judgment Day seems poised to reign supreme again, but JD McDonough makes a mistake. You can't have the same storyline beat happen that close together. No. Like, the Judgment Day are poised to keep their tag team championships, but JD McDonough screws up again. Keep things fresh, keep things spaced out, because if you're relying on the same trope over and over and over again, law of diminishing returns. That's why we're complaining about the Judgment Day now. Or at least why I am.
Yeah.
And if you actually brought in people that did not have to right around eggshells because WWE is fearful of ending the Judgment Day or ending the Bloodline or other long-term storylines too soon. You're ending up causing a law of diminishing returns where when it finally does end, you're not going to have nearly the same payoff or merch blow up or stars blow up as you could.
Yeah, so I think their biggest issue with pulling the plug is that they're listening to the fans, and the fans are like, oh my God, this is going to be so good when this happens. But then they extend it just a little too long.
Yep.
Like, they're like, oh, we're going to extend this for the biggest reaction possible. But they don't realize that in extending it 17 times, the reaction's just going to be like, finally, okay, what's next?
Yep. And to your point, there was a time when WWE could understand its audience and keep its finger on the pulse. Perfect example. We talked about him earlier. Sexton Hardcastle's rise with the Money in the Bank briefcase. We knew Sexton could cash in at any time with the Money in the Bank briefcase. What we didn't see is Sexton becomes more and more opportunistic in his matches, either with Lita or with the case, or at times both.
Yeah.
And Sexton has become more and more and more and more desperate, but also more intelligent. He kept that case for upwards of 8 months.
Yeah.
And all the time we're seeing this like slow drip feed. But it's cool because anytime he uses the case, whether the match is for the case, for a title, or just strictly personal business, anytime he uses the case or Lita is always different.
Yeah.
There's never the same story beat. And at times during that story, Sexton would go and use the case and fail. So you never knew when he was going to succeed. Then Elimination Chamber 2006 happens. Cena wins. Lol. Gets beaten up to high hell. Immediately after, Sexton Hardcastle cashes in. Beats Cena.
So I believe that only happened actually because Sexton went to Vince and said, this is the perfect opportunity. Why would I not cash in if I can cash in anytime?
Yep.
So was it really more of the WWE having their finger on their trigger or Adam Copeland?
Good point.
And being able to convince them that it's the right time. I think somebody has to be there to be the trigger for them to be able to be convinced that that is the right time. Whereas if you have the one person there being like, oh no, we can just build it up bigger. It's going to be bigger next year. It's not. It's going to be this should have happened last year. Thank God it happened. Can we finally do away with this?
Yeah.
At which point it's going to be like, no, because he gets his rematch. Which they already said back in, what was it, 2018, something like that, that
they were doing away with
they were going to
automatic
listen to the
rematch clause.
audience.
Yeah.
The rematch clause was gone. And what happened?
There's
2
rematch
weeks.
clauses. Yeah.
2 weeks. It lasted 2 freaking weeks. And rematch clauses were back. They stopped listening.
It's an issue of keeping your finger on the pulse, which WWE, especially lately, for as great as certain members of their creative team are, have not been able to do when it comes to certain people. And it's unfortunate that it has gotten to a point where even us calling it out here is probably going to do nothing, and other people calling it out in the news is going to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But do they have a long-term storytelling problem? Absolutely, 1,000%. It's fixed by them listening, which they will most certainly never do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're feeling like us, disillusioned that a story is good, it's good up to a point, and then more and more and more people are going to say, this is the point where it should have ended.
Yeah.
This is the point where it should have ended. This is the point where it should have ended. And it's gotten to a point where, at least in my view, a lot of what I've seen about the Bloodline, haven't seen this much about the Judgment Day yet, but a lot of what I've seen about the Bloodline is this should have ended at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's really sad, because you could have had one of the greatest storylines in the history of the business with the Bloodline, had you know when to end it at the right time. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. You got anything else you want to add, Ben? Or
absolutely nothing.
Alrighty. So that's the end of our show. If you want, you can find us on DGen Wrestling on TikTok. We're over here on YouTube. We're over on TikTok posting every day. Definitely not about a fried chicken victory. There's definitely nothing up about that over the past few days when Ben was unable to post, and I got like Christmas morning. But that being said, if you want to talk to us, comment down here, comment down below. What are you thankful for in wrestling? If you got any questions for us, drop them down. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for letting us into your homes and for listening to us warble on and on incoherently about stuff that doesn't matter, but does. Thank you so much for your time and your energy.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.